Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you an individual stock pick on our YouTube channel. Now, this is a kind of a basic, broad brushstroke analysis of Alcoa. It is on the verge of a meaningful buy signal, and I'll get to that in a second. But I do want to drive home the point that we at wickedstocks.com put out 2 stock picks a week, very similar to this. This is a more sort of abbreviated version. At wickedstocks.com, we would cover Alcoa probably a little bit more extensively. We also provide a downloadable PDF. We give you the kind of the basic fundamentals, market cap, average daily trading volume, et cetera, et cetera. But this is quite close to what we provide at wickedstocks.com, and we provide 2 of these a week. So if you're interested in seeing our recent stock picks, our forthcoming stock picks for the next 2 weeks, just go to wickedstocks.com and take advantage of our 2-week free trial. We now offer a 2-week free trial, and you'll be able to see all the stock picks that we put out. In fact, as I'm speaking, we're also preparing a stock pick that'll go out today, Wednesday, December 17th, for Wingstop. And that'll be our second stock pick for the week at wickedstocks.com. So anyway, Alcoa. You're probably familiar with them, but the Aluminum Company of America, a major aluminum producer, obviously, traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol AA. And they're just obviously known for their history in aluminum innovation and significant role in global bauxite, alumina, and aluminum markets. And that's as deeply as I'm going to go into, the description of Alcoa. So this is a channel structure. This is a weekly chart. I'm going to be showing the same chart throughout the entire, this might go 5 minutes. This is a classic channel bottom. It really sort of represents this kind of this W framework we've been in the midst of since, going back to March of 23, almost 3 years, really, 2.5 years market behavior. We are now pushing through the top of this channel that is at 46.65 this week. This structure drops a penny a week. Pretty easy math. Next week, 46.64. If we close above this structure, and it is, as I say, 2 years plus, it deserves a 1% violation threshold, and I'll get to that right here. Actually, I'm going to blow up the image and show you how that we are, comfortably above it right now at 47.20 last. And if we can close at 47.11 or higher, even a daily settlement is a buy signal that is valid. Now, I like the weekly settlements because this is a longer-term setup, and so it might deserve waiting for a few days to make sure that we close at least 47.11 or higher on Friday, December 19th. 1% above 46.65, we have ourselves a long-term buy signal that should, over the next, I'm going to call this possibly within 2 to 3 months, based on present volatility. And I think that that's pretty realistic. So let's say by the end of the first quarter, we could push into the 57.60 to 59.11 area, which does satisfy our 20% requirement. I think this is closer to 25 or 28%. I haven't done the math, but the 57.60, you can look back here, back in 21 and 22 and early 23. We've got a series of highs that are roughly 57.60. I could actually have identified 57.57. This is 58.23, and this is 57.60. And you also have a 50% upside retracement from this 22 high of 98.09 against that most recent extreme low put out last April at 21.53. So 50% of the way back up is 59.11. Let's just call it the upper 50s are a 2 to 3 month objective if we close this week at 47.11 or higher. And I'm going to continue on to this chart. Is that the chart I was just in? That is the chart I was just in. What I want to also present to you is you've got this November 24 high. A year ago, we've got a 47.77. Now, we've been pushing through this channel top for the last couple of weeks, tagging 47.77 and backing away. In my book, closing at 47.11 or higher this week, and that's exactly where we are right now, is a sufficient buy signal to act on. But I present 47.77 for those of you who would rather just kind of wait for what I would call a double buy signal above 47.77. But, if you want to get in early, 47.11 is sufficient. 47.77 is not too much higher to wait. If we close above 47.77, then we do indeed have what I would consider to be a double buy signal by closing above that significant high from November of 24. And then we're on our way into the upper 50s within about 2 to 3 months. So that is really the play. Until then, unless we can close above 46.65 by a 1% margin, and certainly if we close below 46.65 this week, we can fall away. This is not a sell side recommendation, it's a buy side recommendation. And on the buy side, while I'm at it, you might reach for 55 or 60 strike out of the money calls that don't expire. I'd go 6 months out on this perceived 2 to 3 month time horizon. You go a little further out, that preserves, your delta factor, the rate of change of the underlying option relative to the market itself, reduces theta, your time decay element. So you don't want to go 2 or 3 months out. It's a cheaper option, obviously, but you run the very real risk of reaching your objective without anything to show for it. Long term, and this is worth mentioning, it's probably the last point I'm going to make, I do see this as an investment grade buy signal. In other words, everything I mentioned here earlier, this upper 50s objective, is kind of what you would call a near to midterm focus, a position that you can hold for several months and make a decent return if the qualifications meet. In other words, if we close at 47.11 or higher this week. But longer term, if you're looking for something to sort of tuck away into your portfolio as we continue into later 26, this move, the equivalent move, was from April of this year. This is an 8-month move right now. So this would also be an 8-month move, the full channel extension, as well as the 5/8 upside Fibonacci, once again from that 22 high against the more recent low from April of this year, 68.84 to 72.52. So long term, we could anticipate the upper 60s to low 70s. I'm going to call this a 5 to 8 month target. And that would probably be the soonest. This could take the better part of a year. Who knows? Timing is almost impossible. But I'm going to jump back to this image here and leave you with this. This is the setup if we close at 47.11 or higher on any day this week. But on Friday, it's got full closure. And then we confirm a buy signal that we're expecting to play out through the first quarter. That is all I have. Go to wickedstocks.com and take advantage of our 2-week free trial. And you'll see a multitude of other stock picks, some of which are still pending, and some of them are forthcoming. And you'll get, in 2 weeks, you'll get 4 of those stock picks, just like you see here. We're going to throw one of these out a month, maybe 2 a month. It might get to 1 a week. I don't know. I think more like 2 a month, and then we'll see where that goes. All right. You have a great day.